Hello, hello, bienvenidos. Welcome to this episode. My name is Daniela Barrera, and I'm here with Daisuke Itoga. Hello.
Hi, how are you, Daniela?
I'm
Good to
great.
be here.
I'm really happy. I'm really happy like doing this because you have been studying Spanish for about like 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah, about 2.5, 3 years, yeah.
Have you? Yes. From zero, right? We started from
Yeah,
zero.
absolutely zero, yeah.
Yes. And how has it been for you?
Well, it's been very, very productive, needless to say. I mean, anytime I pick up something, whether it's hobby or language or anything, it's for an ultimate goal, right? So it's utility driven, I would say. But no, it's been for that purpose. Every step of the way or the milestone, I've been able to get an ROI from it. So it's been a great journey.
And why would you like to learn Spanish? Well, you wanted to.
Yeah. So, it kind of happened by accident. When I was during the COVID times, I was working for a consulting company, and we just got a new engagement to go support a European engagement. And it turned out that they wanted me to move to Ireland to work. And and that wasn't included in the part of the package.
Okay.
And so I would have to either pay up, right, and pay for that, or I would have to figure out another way to, shift my time zone and work, etc. So given that challenge, I decided to move to East Coast time zone. But obviously, I have my residence in California. I'm already, we have mortgage and everything else. So I didn't want to pay for an additional rent in New York, obviously, right, because it's very expensive. So I decided to go to Medellin, Colombia. Given the cost of living and there were other interests there too, and it just made sense. And obviously the cost of living there is incredibly cheap. I mean, you could live there for probably $2,000 a month.
Okay.
And it made a lot of sense at that point to work there doing the project. And I was probably there for 3 months. Más o menos. So yeah, and that really got me into Spanish. And there are two folds to this thing, right? When I was in Medellin, I met a lot of engineers and students,
Okay.
and I learned their sort of skill sets and salary structure, and understood that I would be able to hire engineers with some of the required skills that I'm looking for probably 1/3 of the price that I would get for a U.S. resource.
Okay.
So when I did the math, I thought to myself, you know what? I could pay out of my savings and pay these employees to do engineering work. Whereas if I was in U.S. and wanted to hire engineers, it'd be too expensive, right? So that was one of the motivation.
Okay.
And then I also figured out that there was a lot of remote opportunities available with the type of work I do. And it didn't really matter where I was. And if I were to live in Colombia, I could probably save most of my salary.
Okay. You thought about like moving there.
Exactly. I actually thought about getting a house there and moving there, and then just bank a whole lot of money in a short period of time. It hasn't worked out that way, but that is still in the back of my mind.
Yeah, that like moving eventually
Yeah.
to a country that it speaks Spanish. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And how is the process about like starting to learn it?
Well, I
You try first like online lessons and
so I took Spanish 101 in high school many years ago, probably ages ago, decades ago. and I got a D, and then the teacher told me never to come back. Says, I wasn't a good kid, right? I was a jackass kid, and so based on the attitude problem, she told me, hey, I don't want you coming back, so that's why I'll pass you. I give you a D. Don't come
okay.
back. Anyway, I found a lot of the words I learned there to be very useful, especially when I was playing tennis and traveling, and I met a lot of Spanish players and South American players. I could curse a lot. and that was really helpful in building rapport and building friendship. So so I always had that interest, but I really didn't never had sort of the concrete motivation or goals to pursue seriously until this Colombia thing.
Until this Colombia thing.
Yeah.
And do you think like that you mentioned this, like this words, big words, do you think that it's Spanish, it's like more intense to say them, or it doesn't matter? Like it's the right language to use it?
It's I think the way that Latino guys curse on tennis court, for example, right? It's flashy. It's to me, when I hear it, and I hear a lot of players say it, to me it's less offensive. It's more colorful.
Okay.
So if I see a German player or a French player's cussing, they sound very offensive. Whereas in if I hear a Spanish player cussing, it's a lot more animated and friendly sounding.
Okay.
So it sounds good, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting way to see it, because others, I don't know, maybe others just think the opposite. Like, no, it sounds too aggressive.
Really?
And that's why it's the right language to curse. Yes.
I found that to be very fashionable. Very fashionable, yeah, in cussing in Spanish, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So it's been 2 years, 2.5 years. So what was your biggest challenge about learning Spanish? And then how are you working to overcome this?
Sure. Initially, subjunctives and all their sort of variations were quite difficult.
But that's intermediate level.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe going back further, if I were thinking about the beginner stage, the simple conjugation of things like future and past.
I remember, yes.
Yeah, in past and stuff like that. That's not too difficult. I think a lot of people would agree that that's just memorization and using them. Initially, I think initially the listening part was a lot harder. Even when you are able to do certain things with Duolingo or other methods that you're using at home, and you feel like you can now kind of construct basic sentences and go out and do shopping or go to the restaurant, etc. That's one thing. But then encountering and meeting certain people locally, and having informal chat is a whole different ball game, right? There's a whole lot of slang. The sentences are very abrupt. It's never a complete sentence, which makes it really hard for your ears to pick up. It still is difficult for me anyway. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but yeah.
Okay. But we're working on it.
Oh, absolutely.
With practice,
Absolutely. Yeah.
anything is possible, I think.
Yeah. I hope so too.
Okay. And how did you find us? How did you find Kat?
Yeah. So I think the exact moment was I was looking for an opportunity sort of for a shallow water. And I had been to Rosarito and Porto Nuevo quite a bit with my wife. And, the coming to Tijuana and staying for a day and going to restaurants and eating was kind of a routine for us already. So that wasn't foreign. But when we started having issues with our dogs, and we started looking seriously for veterinarians or veterinarians, that's when I really started looking for an English school in Tijuana. And I think when I actually decided to come for the first time, I had been to an airport, and I had flown out of Tijuana a couple times using CBX. And in one of the flight, I think I missed. It was kind of a hop, and I had to stay overnight in Tijuana, and I had missed a flight, and that kind of led to, okay, I have some extra time. Let's find this place and let's go there. And I think that's how it started.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Okay. And how do you think the team or us have helped you to achieve your goals?
Yeah, so this is for me the key difference between just kind of learning Spanish online or just using apps, etc. In regards to going through and learning with you is one, it's a personalized kind of experience whereby Daniela and the team, they know the goals that I'm trying to attain, right? And then we kind of work backwards from that goal. So whatever you're kind of, there's the ultimate goal, let's say, as far as I'm concerned, in establishing a business out here in Latin America. But prior to that, there are some interim milestones that we're trying to hit. For example, renting a house down in Tijuana, for example. I was able to achieve that through help of the team here, and to be able to meet a lot of different people through the events that you guys host and other opportunities that you've been able to create through the CAD team, whether that's a reading event or other events. I was able to meet a lot of different peoples and people here and actually have personal relationships, and that allows me to use Spanish in a wider capacity. So that's really helped us, helped me quite a bit ways. So yeah, the main difference here is having the physical presence here in CAD and being able to meet the whole team here, and having built a certain level of relationship and trust, and having that sort of history of you understanding the team and then the team understanding myself and what I'm trying to achieve. That really helps in terms of progressing toward a goal that I'm specifically trying to attain. Right. So I think that's the main key difference there. When you're using online resources or whatever, it's generic, right? So they're not really concerned about what you're trying to attain. For example, in my case scenario, I'm more interested in, let's say, business terminologies and technology terminologies as opposed to, let's say, a dating terminology or something, right?
Yeah.
So it's very specific, and we don't spend time where we don't need to, and we go right into where it matters. That really.
Yes, for example, we studied last year for the DELE exam, remember?
Yes.
And how was it?
So yeah, luckily I was able to pass A2, and that was a big milestone for me. I think it was definitely challenging, and luckily I passed. But going from, let's say, A1 to A2 is a big jump. Obviously, it's A1 is just for you to be able to say hello and nice to meet you and that sort of thing, right? When you pass A2, you kind of get to that place where you're like, hey, you know what? You could travel somewhere and be stranded in the middle of nowhere, and you could probably find your way out. Okay, right? So it got me feeling like, hey, you know what? I'm in Tijuana all the time, or I'm in other countries in Latin America, and I'll be okay. And that's the level of confidence that I have.
Yes,
now. Yeah.
and now we're working toward the other one, like B1.
Exactly.
We don't have the date, right? But we're working to continue progressing.
Yeah.
And then that leads me to the last question. So any advice, tips, techniques that you use, that we use also to continue studying Spanish?
Okay. Yeah. So, Daniela and I have tried number of things, right? Especially prior to taking the DELE, A1 exam, we did a lot of writing exercises, we did a lot of reading exercises, etc. And we'll probably come back to doing that.
Yes.
Right? Comes close to the exam, right? And then obviously, from your end as a student, wherever the level you're in, right? You have to kind of take care of your basics, whether it's grammar, if there's some new grammar, techniques or items are introduced, right? You're supposed to kind of do your own little research and homework, and then if you have any questions, go back to the team and say, hey, you know what, I don't really understand this. Give me a context as to how I would best use this or whatever, right? So So that I do. I make sure that when certain things are introduced or some things come up out of the conversation, I look into it. So that's one method I use. Also, obviously, Duolingo. It's kind of a controversial topic in that a lot of people don't like Duolingo, right? A lot of people think it's repetitive and it's only vocabulary and et cetera, et cetera. I tend to come from a different perspective in that, and I think a lot of the professionals could agree in that it's more about consistency. Sure, I'm sure if you are moving somewhere to another country and you have 3 weeks to work on something, and there's probably a faster way to get there.
Yes.
Right. But Duolingo, if you're a professional, working professional, and you have other priorities, you could spend 5 minutes here, another 5 minutes there, 10 minutes before you go to sleep. And before you know it, you could get through 5-6 lessons a day. And that keeps you kind of on schedule.
Yes, on schedule. That would be what I would say about Duolingo that I really like.
Yeah.
Like, it keeps you on schedule, like helps you to be consistent.
Exactly.
And you don't have to like go and look for exercises, or it has the resources right there.
Exactly. So yeah, I adamantly use Duolingo. I'm getting close to 1,000 days now.
Wow.
Yeah. 1,000-day streaks. So yeah, if I could do it, anyone could do it. So I use LingoPie as well. LingoPie, I don't use it too often, but when I do, it's good. It's a way of kind of getting away from work. And what I notice is that whether it's it's been a month or it's been a few weeks or whatever, and you come back to LingoPie and you listen for an hour or two, and you're like, hey, you know what? I wasn't as good, let's say a month and a half ago, or now I understand these words that I didn't before. So I tend to notice the improvements. If anything, right? That's an encouragement. But I should be using it a lot more. But vida las me. Also we talked about meetups. It's been super helpful. CAD hosts an event usually once a week, and I've been invited to other events as well, whether it's like a book reading events or I don't know if it was like a food tasting events or there's some other events that are available for the students to attend, right? And you guys have been really helpful in inviting me to some of the events where I could do networking and et cetera. And that really allows me to test my language skills or look to see where I am. It's kind of a verification method. Each and every time it's if you're goal oriented and if you're considering coming down here and doing the same, I think it's a good sort of milestones to set forth. So you can kind of, put yourself on schedule and then test yourself. So every team event you come, you could focus on, say, hey, you know what? I'll talk a little bit at this event, or I'll see how my listening is improving, et cetera, and see how you're improving over time. And for me, that's really been helpful.
I'm really happy that you, through like this 2 years and a half, like you understand who we are and what we do and what we are trying to share with like community in Tijuana and others who do not live in Tijuana, but through this microphone or through cameras, we do try to share what you know, what you have practiced, what it's useful for you, especially the last question. Sometimes we just say, yeah, I wish I could have this app to watch series and then just know the grammar part. Yeah, okay, LingoPie. You have LingoPie. So like those small things that you can share from a person, not just like from, okay, Google. No. Right, I think this is very meaningful and useful for anyone listening and watching this. And I do appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Sharing it.
Yeah. Well, last thing I may want to say is if you're in, let's say, San Diego or Orange County, and I'm sure if you're in San Diego, living in San Diego or Orange County, you probably crossed the border and you probably went to Rosarito or you probably went to Porto Nuevo and did the same things that I have, right? But do take the time. Maybe stop at CAD. Talk to the folks here. Maybe go to the Centro and go to the restaurants, etc. Because it could be 15 minutes or 5 miles away from San Diego, and yet it's entirely a different world, especially when you dig deeper, right? And you go beyond some of the shops that and the vendors that speak English to you, right? But you go beyond that, it's an entirely different country. And once you can kind of immerse yourself into that, I think you'll gain a lot more than, just going out to Rosarito and having some shrimp cocktail. Yeah. Anyway.
Great. Thank you that you said that. Well, I guess that's it from this episode. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I hope you to meet you and in the next event. So see you next time.